conversation. So, hey, welcome everybody. My name is Justin Lethby. I'm the E-Professor of Real Estate, and welcome to the E-Professor of Real Estate podcast. I am with Jayson Bates. He is a friend of mine for years now. We actually met each other on a previous platform known as Blab. Some of you may have come across us at that point in time. Blab was a really nice social networking video platform where people get to kind of share ideas, share concepts. And we'll do that. Jayson is a mortgager. He owns his own company, Electric Financial. He's been in this business for a long time. And I think one of the best things, what did I do?
Nothing. That's Electric Financial. I know it's hard to see.
Oh, gotcha. No, I see it. Okay. I thought you were saying, okay, wait a second. I go, okay.
Yeah, no, sorry.
No, you're good. So here's the thing, folks. The reason we're bringing Jayson on right now is me and him, we talk probably at least once a month right now and just kind of share ideas and share concepts. And I thought it would be a great idea to take that conversation and bring it to everyone here. And what we're going to kind of talk about today is, building that community, whether it's online, whether it's in person, although I think me and Jayson both agree while online is huge, some of that personal community development is going to just explode some of your business. So we'll begin by that. So Jayson, tell me what I missed first. What did I miss? What bragging points did I not hit for you?
Really nothing. I'm the owner of Electric Financial, a mortgage broker in Phoenix, Arizona, or Cave Creek, Arizona. And it's tough out there, right? It's super tough. And getting in the community and getting to know your community, I think that's a big thing right now. And getting a feel for the market as agents. And Justin, you and I were talking at the beginning before we went live. I was just talking to an agent this morning, and he was going to start ramping up his marketing, but he really didn't know where to go with it. And I kind of call it the blue ocean opportunity, because you're stuck in the middle of the ocean and it's blue all around you, and you know where you want to go, but you don't know quite how to get there. And so we were discussing some strategies about how to get to where he wants to get. And I'm a big proponent of video. I know, Justin, you're a big proponent of video. But it's not just video. I think some brokers out there kind of, hey, just go do a video. Okay, there's so much video content out there that you can get overwhelmed by it, and you can overthink it a little bit, I think, as a realtor. And I hear realtors all the time, well, so-and-so's already talked about that subject. I don't want to talk about that. I want to get something new. We're not reinventing the wheel here. It's all the same. And that's why I like talking to you, Justin, because you're in a different part of the country than I am. However, we have the same things happening in our communities. And so getting at your community level, finding out, just details, man. I can't say that enough about details. Jobs, how many jobs are coming to the market? How does that affect real estate? What companies are coming to the market? BlackRock just announced yesterday that they're buying a bunch of properties. I'm not sure why they're buying them. Have you heard why BlackRock?
No, I have not. Properties? I figured out that. I heard that they did. That's all I heard.
Yeah, they're buying a bunch of properties, and the fear is that they're going to squeeze out, potential home buyers, because they've got all this cash and they're coming in with cash to buy these homes and things like that. So you, as an agent, how do you combat that with your consumer? Because they hear that sort of stuff too. So what is your unique selling proposition to help combat that? And I think getting into those details, I think, will serve a lot of agents very well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. And, again, we're going to talk about it from a couple different perspectives. We're going to talk about building that in-person community, because I do think, especially after a year of seeing the same four walls every day of the week, doing something in person is going to explode your business. I know the beginning of this year, just simply making the phone calls had a tremendous effect on my business. But we also got to talk online. Me and you are both technical perspectives, and we have these things. I'm doing this. You have a Roku channel, which I think is very, very cool out there. That, we got to start figuring out what that looks like and what it means for you. So let's go back to the first point you talked about, or one of the first points you talked about. Everyone has, this is what is known in the social media marketing world as the imposter syndrome, right? No one wants to hear from me. I don't know anything. I'm not the expert of anything, right? Who would want to listen to me? So, in all due candor, Jayson, right? You're a mortgager, and you try to reach out to not only the consumers, but you're trying to reach out to us, the realtors, and there's more realtors than there are you. But there's a lot of mortgage people out there.
Mhm.
How do you compete or combat going against saying, well, why would they want to hear from me? What
Mhm.
may, why, how? No one's going to listen, right? Because I hear this all the time. No one's going to listen to me. I don't have anything to say, which me and you both know is not true. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has their style. Everyone has their way of perceiving that information. We need to do that. So how are you getting past that? And how are you helping? Because you do this, and I'll do candor. I know you do this. How are you helping other realtors get past that?
So it's your elevator pitch. You got to think about your elevator pitch. So when I approach realtors, I ask them a very simple question, and that is, how can I help your business? I don't come to them and say, hey, I've got every product under the sun. I do. Hey, I answer my phone after hours. I do. I, close loans on time. I do. Those are all like periods at the end of the sentence. What the realtor is interested in, how are you and our relationship, how is that going to help my business? And so one of the things I kind of pride myself on is marketing. I'm a big believer that 90% of what an agent should be doing, or 80% of what an agent should be doing, is marketing. And the most successful agents that I've spoken to here in the Phoenix metropolitan area, they are marketing 24/7. I went and met with an agent for a lunch. He brought these big, they're like, I don't know, they were like catalogs. They were like Christmas catalogs, right? Of like some of his listings and some of the things he's done in the past and stuff like that. And as he's walking to my table, he's passing these things out on empty tables, right? And there is no secret sauce to marketing. You just have to market everywhere, every time. That's the key to marketing, to be honest.
Consistently, right? I mean, it's consistency.
Yeah. And doing it everywhere, not just on Facebook, not just on YouTube, not just on Google or wherever you're doing your marketing. Everybody kind of funnels into online stuff, but you have to do it in the community, and become a community expert. Not just, we have this kind of problem here in Phoenix a little bit. We have agents that are on the west side of town who think they know the market on the east side of town, and vice versa. And that's okay when you're starting out as an agent. You got to do what you got to do. I get that. But as you grow and develop as an agent, you probably want to hone in on a specific area and kind of focus your efforts in that area.
Right. It's your one thing. It's your niche. It's whatever you want to call it. I typically call it your bozo buckets, right? I mean, you might be old enough. You don't know if you lived in the area to watch Bozo. Did you ever watch Bozo?
Bozo the Clown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was he was a Chicago guy. It was a Chicago show every morning. You got to watch the Bozo buckets. And that's what I always tell people. You need to figure out what your 1, 2, or 3 Bozo buckets are. And then you focus on them, right? And what I teach people a lot of times is it's not 3 when you first start. It's 1.
Yeah.
And then when you're comfortable with that, you might go for a 2nd or 3rd. Yeah. But all you ever need is 1 Bozo bucket to be successful, to win your prize. You don't need all of them. You just need the 1. And I think finding that niche is huge, right? Finding that one thing that's out there. And what I always laugh at is, I know this as a realtor. You might have felt this as a mortgager when you first started. When I started this, I was so scared that, okay, well, I'm focusing on this one subdivision, 150 home subdivision. Okay, but how am I going to get everybody else? Because that's not going to sustain me, right? I'm so fearful of focusing on one thing that I'm losing out on everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me say this too here, Justin, because this is important right now. I think there is this mentality right now. What is your unique selling proposition, and focusing in on whatever community it is that you want to focus in on. I totally get that. And you should be doing that. But sometimes being different means, like, I'll give you an example here. Agents will say, hey, my market is hot. Okay. Yeah, I get that. But what are you going to do for me while the market's hot? Why should I pick you over the thousands of other agents that are available out there, or the fintech companies that are out there? What are you going to do for me? And I think a lot of times agents just kind of go with the sheep mentality, the herd mentality. Oh, the market's hot. I sold a home in 1 day. Call me if you want your home sold in 1 day and above list price. Everybody's doing that right now, at least in the Phoenix metropolitan area. So what are you going to do? And vice versa to that notion as a consumer. If somebody said to me, hey, I sold a house in one day and I sold it over asking price, my immediate thought as a consumer is, well, shouldn't you have listed it a little bit higher then? Why did you list it so low? So think about those sort of things, I think, and don't go the sheep. Sometimes being different means not doing the sheep thing, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. And we were, like you said, we were talking about some of this right off the bat and before we got online. And I think one of the things that is huge, going back to knowing your one thing, knowing what you have eloquently said is your, it's your unique selling position, your value position, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what that is, because when you were saying this offline, I keep telling everybody the same thing from a different perspective. I keep telling the same thing. Quit telling everybody the market's hot and that you can't, because all the consumers are hearing not what you are saying. They're hearing something else, right? They're hearing, it's so easy to sell. Why do I need you? I can't find my next home. I'm not selling because it's going to be too hard to find my next home, right? That's the stuff they're hearing, not what you're trying to sell. And it's the relationship you need to be building. It is your value proposition. Maybe you are the best list price to sale price ratio in the market. Okay, great. That's a unique selling proposition if that is who you are. And if that's what your audience wants to hear.
Right.
More often than not, it's not that conversation, right? It's not the conversation they want to hear. They want to know, can I trust you? Well, do I like you? Do I know you? Do I like you? And can I trust you? That's what they want to know. And if you can answer those three questions and then tell them it's the hottest market, let's talk about selling, they're going to talk to you. But if you're just blasting that conversation, all we're really doing is working ourselves out of business. And that's what we're seeing, right? Lowest inventory the last 20 months, roughly. And we have essentially done an exceptionally strong job. I won't call it a great job because that would give the wrong adjective here, of marking ourselves out of a business.
Right.
So how are you building that community? You said you went with a realtor and you had lunch or breakfast this morning, whatever it was. And I know you do that quite a bit. You're reaching out to people like that. So what other things are you doing to build your community? Or if you'd rather do it, how are you helping other realtors like me and out there build their community? How are you doing that right now?
Okay. So good question. This is kind of the heart of what I try to do, I guess. So it's one thing to have good content, right? We got videos, we got whatever, and you get good content going, but the distribution is the holy grail of content. You could have, I tell people all the time, I tell agents, we can make the movie Titanic, but if nobody sees it, who cares?
Right.
It's a non-existent thing. So distribution is key to the success. And part of that is getting in the distributing that. I need some coffee, I guess. I'm not a coffee drinker, maybe some iced tea. And you got iced tea? There you go. And distributing that within your community. But when you're doing things in your community, be the expert in the community. I kind of learned this when I was teaching credit classes. I used to teach credit classes to realtors, and they would always, inevitably, there was always somebody in the class, and Justin, you probably get this in your classes, where they try to trip you up. Say, oh, well, this doesn't work. I've done it this way, and it doesn't work. What you're saying isn't really jiving with me or whatever. And they try to make you look like a fool in front of everybody. At least it feels that way when you're standing up there. And that's going to happen when you're doing this whole distribution thing. But you're going to get people that are going to hate you on Facebook, or going to hate you on Twitter, or hate you wherever you're distributing your material at, or disagree with what you say. Don't let that fear stop you from putting content out there and distributing it. Ignore that stuff. You got to have tough skin in the social media game if that's where you're going to distribute all your stuff. But as part of the community too, I created a Roku channel that's called Prem TV. Now, Prem TV, I'm the only one on there right now. I'm trying to get agents to go on there, and I get camera shy, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Prem TV stands for Phoenix Real Estate Market TV. And the whole idea there is to talk about what's happening in the market, in the Phoenix metropolitan area, more specifically. And that can be scaled to other markets, of course. But in Phoenix, there's a lot of people who are moving from out of state to Arizona. We've got a lot of people moving here. So there's a resource there that we're looking for. Yeah. And I get more, I'll tell you, I get more views from my Prem TV than I get on YouTube by far. I have some of the stuff on YouTube. I don't have all the stuff on YouTube. I have some of the stuff on YouTube, but I get by far, tenfold more on Roku TV than I do on YouTube. So, from a marketing perspective, I did it as a little bit of a beta test, but I'm getting a lot of views from that. And I've gotten deals from it, actually. I got a deal from one guy moving from Seattle to Phoenix.
Well, and see, to me, that's the big part, right? The one thing I want people to hear is what I want everyone to hear on this is one really huge thing, right? You have used this and you have identified this as part of your quote unquote prospecting time, right? When you're trying to find that business and find those leads, you're doing this. You have identified this as this out there, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I want to make sure to the audience that's listening is I want them to understand is, yeah, we teach this all the time. Make your 2 phone calls, 5 phone calls, 10 phone calls a day, whatever that number is, write your 2 nodes, go door knock, whatever it is. That's prospecting. So is this. So is building that community. That is part of your time in this market to actually grow, and it will produce. Anything you do will produce as long as you do it, as you said, Jayson, consistently and often enough and robust enough, right? Roku is a great platform because pretty much everybody has Roku. I don't have it myself. I got Google TV, but I did have Roku before I moved to that platform. And everyone has this stuff. And even I would assume at some point in time, you'll look to see what the other platforms look like and how easy it is to get on them. But
it's on Roku and on Amazon Fire Stick too.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, so you're on a lot of platforms and you're building that audience. And the other thing I want people to hear what Jayson said out here is, he said a few minutes ago that he can't get the realtors to come on his channel. Get on his channel. I don't care if you're from Illinois. I don't care if you're from Wisconsin. I don't care if you're from Nevada. I don't care. Obviously, he has an audience he's trying to fit, but referrals work nationwide, folks.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, get on his channel, help him help you. Essentially, because now this isn't about promoting or marketing, but here's the reason I want to point that out. A lot of times we were worried about what Jayson was talking about, the trolls, right? People are just going to be idiots and they're going to say stupid things just because that's what makes them happy throughout the day, right? I piss someone off, I'm miserable, so I'm going to make someone else miserable. It's pretty much what comes out to doing this. Well, go participate in someone else's channel. Go participate somewhere else where you're not central and find your voice. It's a great way to not only get some honest marketing time, but maybe do us from a soft open, like a soft launch perspective. That way you don't have to worry about the local trolls trolling you. Right. So take advantage of this. I'm not saying Jayson alone because Jayson has his own things he's got to do. But, find those audiences to do that and talk about your community. Talk about what you know. Talk about your value proposition. Always something to do.
And when you're doing this, be you.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't stress that enough. I see so many people that aren't themselves. So you can see right through that. They say what they think people want to hear rather than the reality of the situation. That's why I was making that comment about trolls. You're going to get them. You're going to get them. It doesn't matter what you say, how you say it, you're just going to get them. Don't let that stop you. Just be you. Don't say, oh, well, this is because this realtor over here said it, or this. Interpret that in your own way. Whatever it is that the data and whatever it is that you research or whatever, interpret that in your own interpretation and say it the way you would say it. Don't say it the way somebody else would say it, because that comes across as very fake, and the consumer sees right through that. We see that with you look around anywhere, and it's so fake. A lot of stuff is fake.
Well, and here's the thing that I will go one step further at. The one reason why I like video is it's you, right? As long as you're getting comfortable in front of video, it's going to be hard to not be you.
Right.
Because eventually you're going to slip up and talk in your own voice at some point in time, right? You get comfortable enough, you're going to do this stuff.
Right.
But the other thing that I like about the video is it's you. It's undoubtedly you. It's not a third-party program that is blasting what they blast for 500 other realtors, right? So I'll ask you this, because I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm not a fan. Maybe you have an opposing view on this. Are you a fan of hiring a third-party mass marketing social media company to do your social media too?
Why? I mean, there's no real need for it. I know, but here, okay. So I'm glad you brought this up actually, because I was talking actually to another agent on Monday about this very subject, and this was in emails too. Like a lot of realtors do these, market update blast emails out, right? And I get them as a consumer, right? I get these emails, and I'm sure other agents get their emails, and it's the same content, different branding. And from a consumer standpoint, with different names, but the exact same. It looks exactly the same, just different headshots on it, essentially. From a consumer standpoint, I look at that and say, well, this agent really didn't take the time to speak to my needs. I'm out of here. I'm going off to somebody else. But if somebody's, it's like a personal handwritten letter, right? Personal handwritten letters mean a lot more to the recipient than a boilerplate kind of template thing.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, yeah. And again, I always laugh. You're absolutely right. Right. What I always laugh at, the biggest difference when you're using these third-party companies is that maybe the branding color changes because you're with brand X and someone else is brand Y, right? That's really the biggest difference.
Right.
And I talk about this. I teach this actually quite a bit when I'm training other trainers on how to do their job. There was an OSHA study done a long time ago, and I find this very applicable for a lot of people. There was an OSHA study done a long, long time ago where it was about when robots first came into the manufacturing floors, right? And people were getting hit by the robots. So what they did is they came out afterwards and they put a beep on it. They, put a horn on it that would, go every 5 seconds. So people would jump out of the way when they saw the robot coming, right? And when I'm talking robot, they're really just automated flatbeds, right? That's all it really were.
Yeah.
But what happened within 6 months of those things and those horns going off, people were getting hit again because they got numb to the noise.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's happening for us, right? Yep. That's what happens for us as trainers when we're all talking the same topic. That's what's happening to us as realtors when we're putting out the exact same content.
Yeah.
Right now, and please understand the one thing I am telling you. I am not talking about Justin Letheby talking about mortgage rates and Jayson Bates talking about mortgage. I'm not talking about that because we're going to have our own slants. That's unique content. What I am talking about is using a mass third-party company and literally producing the same thing.
Yeah.
That's noise they're going to turn off.
Yeah. 100%. Agreed. 100%. Do your own thing. And what do you need them for? First of all, they need access to all your social media, right? So you got to give them your passwords and all this kind of stuff, and they build some page or whatever. Well, you've already got access to it. So wake up like you're reading the morning newspaper, which really nobody does anymore. And instead of reading the morning newspaper, you do your distribution. Again, the holy grail. So you create the content, what we call evergreen content. So you're going to create content that is going to last forever. It's going to be relevant today versus tomorrow. And then sprinkle that in with some content that's, specific to today's events. And that evergreen content, you recycle it every 6 months or every 4 months or, every 8 months or, however it is that you want to do it. Just recycle that content. I guarantee you will get business from that. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
If it speaks. Now, here's the thing I will say too, Justin, and I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong here or not. Advertising, when you're doing advertising or any marketing, there's two things that have to be included in that advertising or marketing. Number one, you have to speak to the need of your audience.
Yeah.
Number two, you have to provide a solution to that need for the audience. If you do those two things, great. And that goes back to what I said about, hey, the market's hot. Okay. What does that tell me as a consumer? That's great. It's hot, but what are you going to do for me? Right? You got to speak to the need of my needs and the solution for that need. So
here's the 5 steps to getting your offer noticed, those type of things. And you're starting to see realtors finally start to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would, right. Yeah,
know?
I would agree. It's not about reciting the news, right? I think we're all newsed out, to be honest with you. That's all we've done for 18 months is sit in front of there and watch news. We're all newsed out.
Right.
And to be honest with you, you look at Facebook, you look at YouTube, you look at Twitter, you look at all the social media platforms. It's not content, low, right? It's very content rich. So you have to find a way to stand out. You have to know, again, as you just said so well, you have to know where the problem sits and where the solutions sit. And if you have those two identifies, you have content and you will stand out before each other all day long.
Let me ask you in relation to this too, Justin, because, I consider myself a man, right? And I'm kind of a big boy kind of thing. I feel like TikTok is a little bit of a child's game. And I know a lot of agents are doing the TikTok thing, and maybe I'm way off base here. I said the same thing about Snapchat. Snapchat was, kind of a kid's thing. But I've heard a lot of agents going into the TikTok arena, and I see a lot of agents, especially, and I'm not, some male chauvinist pig or anything like that. I'm not that at all. But all the female agents seem to want to take pictures from up here with it's the message. Think about the message that you're sending and the audience that you're speaking to, right? You kind of get what you put out kind of thing. And I don't think enough attention is being paid to that. Not all agents, of course. There are very professional agents out there.
No.
But
well, no, there's been a couple people out there. There was actually on both sides of the world, women and men that have put some different posts on social media that I'm going, I don't know what you're selling. Because if I look at the pictures, I'm not seeing what that is. And again, you're right. It's about the message, right? When I first got taught in real estate, right, you had to dress every day like you were a realtor, right? And now, whether I agree with that is a different conversation, but the premise and the thought process is right. What you put out, you're going to get back. And it is definitely a conversation you have to have out here because, a lot of these newer platforms, Snapchat, TikTok, definitely have taken a direction in the audience, right? And they're definitely going after a certain audience profile. I don't know about TikTok. I'll be honest with you. I'm still trying to figure out if there's a business solution for there. I am not seeing it.
I don't see it. I'll be TikTok's a waste of time.
I would say for maybe me as a trainer who's trying to put messages out there, it might have an audience, but from a realtor's perspective, I'm having a hard time. Also, to be honest with you, LinkedIn is another example where I have a huge challenge when I watch realtors use that platform as a marketing platform because they don't know the audience or they don't understand the audience. They've never taken the chance to understand that audience. And the material they put out there, which is mostly listings, is not what they're looking for.
Well,
right?
LinkedIn is not it's an introduction platform.
Right.
That's what LinkedIn is. I will tell you, I use LinkedIn.
It's a huge networking platform.
Yeah, almost exclusively. I could go on LinkedIn and I could set, not so much maybe anymore, but I had my elevator pitch, right? I had that typed out, right? I could get at least 3 appointments a week with realtors just from LinkedIn. Now, when I had lunch with an agent team on Tuesday, she was asking me, well, where do I go? She's a new agent or whatever. Where do we go? I said, look, go to LinkedIn. First of all, it's professional. Number one. Number two, you get in front of the decision makers. So for example, if you want to target a major industry that's in your community, right? We talk about communities. So let's like Intel's here, right? You want to get in front of Intel. Well, guess who's on LinkedIn? The HR manager for Intel. So you connect with them. and say, hey, I'd like an opportunity, if there's an opportunity available, to introduce myself and my services to your employees. Here's my idea. What do you think? And you're talking directly to the HR manager.
Right.
Now that's powerful stuff. You're not going to get that on Facebook.
No.
You're not going to get that on YouTube. Right. So it's an introduction platform. It's not a social media platform.
No. And I actually find it very interesting because very recently they turned on video for, and what I mean by video, I mean live video on their platform. And they're not everybody gets it, right? They're handing it out to some of the elites that have gotten enough views, enough conversations, enough going on.
Right.
They're not opening up to the masses. And I don't know if they ever will, because I've never made a comment one way or the other. And you've nailed it, right? It's an introduction platform. I call it networking, but I think your term is a lot more stronger than the intent that we need to understand. It's your way of getting your foot in the door to see if there's any way that each others can help each other out. Stop putting your listings, folks. I'm telling you right now, stop putting your listings on LinkedIn.
Nobody cares about those on LinkedIn.
No one wants them.
No.
They barely want them on Facebook, Twitter, wherever else, but there is an avenue and understanding for that, right? There is an expectation to have that in there.
I've told people, stop putting listings up here. Nobody cares about them. Put out there what you're doing to help people achieve the American dream, or help them achieve their lifestyle, or whatever it is, because that's really what you're selling. You're selling the dream and you're selling a lifestyle, not a house.
Yeah, there's an agent up in the Chicago area. She's a rock star. And she has a business page and she has a professional or a personal page. And she gets, what I tell everybody is, right. And from a Facebook perspective, you can't put your business, you can't market yourself on your personal page, which is basically Facebook rules. You can't put business stuff on your personal page. But she does it really pretty well. She does it. I wouldn't say she's dancing on the line, but she does like everybody else does, right? She's just talking about her day. She's not selling anything. She's just saying, hey, I just showed 3 homes. I did this, just like everybody else does on Facebook. I just had to have a conversation with my boss. It pissed me off. They put it on Facebook, right? It's no different. Now, she's not putting that kind of conversation out there, but she's just doing the day in the life, and it gets her business all the time. But she's building those relationships. As we started off saying early on, she's building that community. The community for her is her and her knowledge of her area.
Do you think that people are, mortgage people do this too, I think anyways, but I want to get your opinion on it. Do you think that people put things on Facebook and on their personal page just for the clicks, that anxiety of, are they going to like this? Are they really going to like me? Or you really like me? Or, whatever that famous thing from the Academy Awards was.
Sally Fields.
Yeah. Sally Fields. Is that the motivation, or is the motivation to really help people? You know what I mean?
No, I think for most of us, we get told, right? We get told you need to get this, you need to get likes, comments, and shares. Because I teach this, right? You got to get likes, comments, and shares. So that's all they focus on. But no, you're absolutely right. Right. It's a John Maxwell thing. I use his quote. I think he got it from Roosevelt. People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care about them. Right. And that's how you have to live here, right? We have to live from the perspective that they're going to listen to you. They're going to care about you. They're going to want your help when they know you care about them. And if all you're trying to do is get this more than anything else, they also know that.
Yeah. Exactly.
The audience is not dumb.
You can see the fakeness. You see the fakeness everywhere. It's crazy. I remember a time, Justin, when nobody trusted the internet. Now everybody trusts the internet for some reason.
Well, right? Wikipedia is real. Everything's right on Wikipedia.
Yeah. It's like, holy moly.
It's also funny, and I'll use this as an example as well. You're familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yes.
So one of my favorite books to quote when I do some training is jab, 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 right hook. And one of the things that he says is you have to give before you receive.
100%.
And there's absolutely no doubt about that, right? There's no doubt about that. But giving isn't just saying, okay, here's my free material. If you don't know, if you haven't spent the time to understand what your audience is doing or what your audience wants, as you had said earlier, it's going to fall on deaf ears, right? Because they're going to say is, you don't know me. You don't understand me. You don't care about me. You're just trying to give me stuff. And I know why you're trying to give me stuff, because you're trying to collect my information and I'm not going to have it. And the way I explain this is really simple. Say I give everybody in the audience $100 for your attention. And then every time I give you an item of value, a true item of value, I'm giving you an additional $10, but or $5 every time I ask for something, which we all have to ask at some point in time, because that's actually what the book was written on. It was actually teaching social marketers to stop giving and start asking. Well, the book was written. But every time I ask for something, I'm taking $10 away. There's only so long before I can't afford to listen to you any longer if all you're doing is asking and not giving true gives. And that's how we need to think about that. So you have to spend time understanding your real community, in-person community, and your online community. What those communities are is if you don't know what they want, you don't understand who they are. And the only way you're going to do that is by being involved, right? Going out and being in public, or going into the forums and the groups and interacting and having those conversations. If you're not doing that, you can't know what to give them. Right. We can think.
Pay attention to from a consumer standpoint. Take off your realtor hat for a little while. Take off your broker hat for a while, mortgage loan officer hat for a while, and just be a consumer. And you'll get in touch with a lot of things that I think are relevant to the consumer when they're talking to you. And I think we overlook that a little bit. We talk about you go and get surgery, right? You go talk to a doctor, you need surgery or whatever. You're scared. You think you may die on the table. And the doctor's like nonchalant, like, whatever, I do this every day. You're fine. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. And I think as agents and mortgage professionals and things, we do the same thing with the consumer. They're scared. It's an emotional decision. And so dummy it down a little bit and come down to their level. And of course, you got the seasoned buyers who, think that, they don't need a realtor or whatever. And you got that to combat with too. But I'm just saying, try to match the level of your consumer or your audience that you're trying to go after, and look at it from another perspective. And I think it'll serve everybody very well.
No, absolutely. Right. I mean, one of the old mantras you see is leaders, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, we as realtors, we're leaders. Now, you may not see yourself that way. And the way Maxwell says this is leaders are basically people of influence, nothing more, nothing less. That's who we are. In our world, we are that, right? We are the leaders in real estate. We are the people that are looking, they're trusted advocates. And I always look at those pictures, right? You got two leaders, one that are pulling with you in the group, or one that is sitting from atop with the whip trying to push you along, right? The consumer doesn't want that. The consumer wants you in the trenches with them. They want us with them. They want to know that you know us, that they care about us, and that they're looking for their best interest. If you get that along, you're going to succeed in this business every day of the week. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
What do you think? I hear a lot from agents about the future of real estate. All this, you go on YouTube and every other video is the market's going to crash, whatever. It's clickbait. That's clickbait in my opinion. But I know consumers hear that, right? And I think a lot of agents, I hear from agents too here in Phoenix, oh, I'm so busy. And I kind of scratch my head a little bit like, really? There's only 3,500 closings. How busy are you? You might be busy writing a bunch of offers for, different properties, but really, are you that busy? I don't believe you're that busy. So I think deep down, my question to you is, what do you think the future is, or what do you think the pulse for agents are for the future in real estate? Do you think that they're thinking about the future, or are they just kind of reacting to the moment?
Well, I'll tell you this, and me and you've had this conversation offline a couple of times. I keep telling people right now, I started real estate in 2006. Now, I don't think there's going to be a big crash, but I'm going to tell you right now, realtors feel the very same to me that what I was in 2006 that I feel like now, right? Everyone is just, the heads are so much in the clouds. They're running, they're running 100 miles an hour. They're enjoying making money hands over fist, that they haven't asked that question, right? They haven't asked what next week looks like much more 5 years from now. So for me, the answer is no. I don't see realtors asking that question, but that's what, as far as I'm concerned, that's what I'm here for. That's maybe what you're here for, is to ask those questions and at least stir that brain a little bit to get them thinking about it. Because, again, the way we can create our own beast, right? And if we don't recognize the footprints in the sand of change, then we are going to basically jump straight into the water or fall off the cliff. However you want to use that analogy, right? We're going to jump off full force and not know how to react to this. And I'll point this out, and I pointed this out years ago, and people just look at me like I'm nuts. Taxi companies said we'll never go away. Stockbrokers, stockbrokers, on the floor brokers said there will always be a need for us.
Right.
Both said that. Where are they now?
Yeah. Everybody said, hey, there's always going to be a Walmart.
Right.
Maybe not.
Amazon.
Maybe not.
Right.
Amazon. Or Facebook even. Maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, here's the one thing I will tell you that most people don't, I think, understand from a human perspective. I think there always is going to be a want for a realtor, whatever that means. I don't know, but they're always going to want that because they want someone to sit there and know the process out there. I mean, for instance, do I want to use Carvana? Probably not. I still want to talk to somebody that actually that I can trust, that I can sit there and work with and buy my next car. Do I want to buy my clothes online? That I might be able to do for a while because, unfortunately for the last 3 years, I haven't changed shape.
Suit. You're not buying a $1,000 suit online.
Right. No, I'm not. You're right. I'm going to Men's Warehouse or wherever it is.
Yeah.
But so I think there's always a need, right? There is a breaking point. I think that's the huge point to make, right? There's always going to be a need for us, but how we are perceived and how we are valued, I think has a very big risk for a change to come. I think there is a perspective because what I worry about is technology has made the realtor business. I shouldn't say technology alone. Technology and the realtors are, and I shouldn't say realtors as I'm not one of them because I definitely am one of them, but our way of looking at the business and how we handle it has changed how the consuming public looks at us and values us, right? A lot of agents market themselves as 24/7 agents. I'm going, stop being a 24/7 agent. If you're at dinner, you have the right to not answer your phone. No business deal is going to end or fall off the face of the earth because 1 hour went by. If it went by and the world did fall apart, then something else was wrong.
Right.
But
that's the competitive edge, right? And now, what about this? Because this is the other thing I'm hearing a lot, Justin, is there is no more 3% commission, right? The compression on commissions right now because listings are so few and far between, and these flat rate, real estate companies and things like that. And I had this actually at that luncheon, she was kind of telling me her struggles with that. And I said, yeah, but if you were doing the marketing, if you were on TV, if you were doing this, that, and the other, then you could justify that cost.
Yeah, I think, again, the way they value us is it. Now, I'm going to throw a little caveat. I'm a trainer, I'm a realtor, all this stuff. Please understand, when we talk numbers, we are not talking in practicalities. We're not assuming standards. We're not doing any of that stuff. We are just using analogies out there. I just say that because I need to say that.
Disclosure.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I agree. I was actually about 2 weeks ago, I was at an event. It was an offsite event. We were supposed to be away for 3 days doing just a get together for strategic planning and things. And I was watching 2 realtors getting up from the strategic planning or getting up from dinner and answering phone calls. And while I love the customer service mentality, right? While I love that they are wanting to make sure that their clients are extremely happy and satisfied with their service and they feel loved and cared for. I respect that, truly honor that. It's not that bothers me. It's they're treating you as an employee, not as a partner in this business. And that's how you set up your value. You set your value up as an employee. And I keep telling them, if you want to be an employee, then start charging an hourly rate.
Yeah.
Stop doing this to yourself. When it's 9 o'clock, it's okay to end the phone call because nothing can be negotiated. Most contracts, I can't speak nationwide, but in Illinois and most states that I help out with, most contracts have an hourly area, right? It's between the hours of, X and X for a purchase side of the world.
Right.
So afterwards, you can negotiate all you want, but if something comes in the middle of that and changes the world, then it changes the world. And nothing you did was going to change it anyways. But so... yes, I do think the thing that I worry about, going back to what you're asking about, is the commission structure, or even if it is a commission,
Mm-hmm.
could be changed, right? The way we treat our business, the way we have marketed ourselves, essentially branded ourselves as an industry since I've been in here, could definitely change the focus of this, right? It could change it so it's not a percentage. It could be a per item fee, essentially.
That was my big push years ago with Zillow, right? And these agents, oh, I'm using Zillow. I'm a Zillow preferred agent, or I'm this, or I'm that. Zillow this, Zillow. I'm like, they're coming after your business. They're coming after you. Why are you feeding that beast? And here we are now. Zillow has their own brokerage, trying to recruit realtors, whatever. They're trying to put realtors out of business, quite frankly. They're trying to be the Google of realtors.
Well, I mean, you definitely, when you just said the Z word, you definitely said the Z word.
Yeah.
Zillow, I won't talk about my opinion about them online personally at this point in time, but I definitely,
I will.
and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. The only reason I won't talk about it online is I was shocked to see the direction they went in. I thought the direction they were going in earlier with the acquisitions was a very smart business plan. It's a very successful business model acquiring. There's definitely a profit model from that perspective.
Yeah.
But so going now and basically coming out there and telling people publicly that they want to be in the brokerage business has definitely put people on alert. And I don't think I'm misquoting that. I mean, I think that's what the CEO has basically said out loud, is that they're doing that.
They want to put you out of business. So this is
what they haven't said that. They still said they want to work with us.
Whatever.
But,
they can say whatever but the message, read between the lines. I can see the forest through the trees. So you think their goal is just to like stay stagnant?
No. All I'm going to say, since we're going to have this publicly online, all I'm saying is from their perspective, their comments, there's definitely concerns, no doubt about it. Yeah, but from their perspective, what they have told us publicly is that they plan on continuing working with us, right? Kind of like what Redfin has tried to do and things like that. Yeah, no, I totally get it. there is definitely, I will say this. I hope what they say becomes true. That's a win for everybody. Okay, but proof's always in the pudding, because they said for years they weren't going to be in the brokerage business, and now they're in the brokerage business. So I think it'll be very, very interesting from that perspective. I think it'll be very, very a very wild watch to have. So,
but here's the point. The end, full circle, right? Is that you as an individual agent can do the exact same thing Zillow is doing, and that is it's just a smaller scale, for much cheaper. You don't need Zillow to get the word out there. You don't need those things. And I think some agents, even mortgage loan officers, they feel, oh, in order for me to get that person's business as an agent, I need to help pay for their marketing, or I need to help pay for this. And all I am is a checkbook. I did that for a little while. It didn't work. I speak from experience on that one. So that's what enlightened me to say, you know what do they need? What is it that they're looking for? They're looking for direction. Remember back, when was this? Probably 2000, I don't know, 14, 13, or I don't know, maybe even sooner, 11. Everybody's talking about how do we get in front of millennials. Facebook really wasn't it was big, but it wasn't that big. There were so many different platforms, and agents didn't understand social media at all, right? How do we get in front of millennials? We need to go where they go. And we're still in that mentality a little bit with Snapchat and TikTok. That's why I brought that up. But we need to start thinking about other things rather than chasing things. Create your own path, and people will come. You build it, they will come kind of mentality. If you got good content and good distribution, you're going to get.
I teach a business builder class. Yeah. One of my modules is quite literally, if you build it, they will come. I just makes me laugh. So
so you could build a Zillow just on a smaller scale, I guess is my point.
I completely agree, right? And there's one question I want to come back to in a second, because it's something I want to make sure we put the point to, because I think me and you both agree with this. But there are tools out there, right? So say you're not a Facebook marketer. Say you're not a podcaster. Maybe you're not a video person. Maybe you're not these people, right? You're not that person. Okay, fine. Don't be that person. But maybe you want to work with first-time home buyers. Maybe you want to work with investors. Maybe you want to work with the move-up sellers or the luxury sellers and buyers, right? Okay, you got those topics. You got those niches. Build a workshop. Build a webinar. Build a seminar, right? I would build it as a seminar that I could easily convert to a webinar. So when the next pandemic happens, I can move it to my world easily enough and talk to these people. And now talk about the stuff you care about, right? This is what I'm doing. This is what Jayson does. He comes out there and has a voice and an audience. I mean, I'm sorry, without adding some PowerPoint slides, what we have just built was a webinar, right? We gave a lot of actionable items on this step and a lot of tools people can use and take advantage of that. So yeah, I couldn't agree more, right? You don't need, I always say this as well. You don't need the Zillows. You don't need them, right? And if you want to have that money to spend, like if you have that $300, $400 a month that you're going to spend on that advertising, then spend it on yourself.
Yeah, 100%, man. You can take that $400, $300 and do a YouTube ad, and I guarantee you'll get business.
Right.
As long as you do those two things I said, right?
Yeah.
You do those two things and you spend $300 on YouTube, just YouTube. Second most search engine, biggest search engine, whatever. Just
second most to Google.
Yeah, Google. So it's like, holy cow, who needs Facebook?
Well, and you really don't, right? I mean,
but I understand. I'm not trying to downplay Facebook.
No, here's the thing. 1.5 billion daily active users still isn't as much as you get with Google or YouTube. They're still the most trafficked websites. If you go to alexa.com, and I'm not talking Alexa to listen to your speaker device, Amazon actually has a service called Alexa. It rates all your websites out there, all of them. And Google and YouTube are the top two. So if you're in the world of Google, you're in. I mean, Google loves Google. So,
and I find I get better quality from YouTube and Google than I do by far than I do on Facebook.
Well, up until about a year, well, probably right before pandemic, probably about 2-3 months, probably 6 months pre-pandemic, Facebook was still cheaper advertising. Not anymore. It's back to being Google and YouTube are cheaper, and really, to be honest with you, dollar per lead or dollar per actually conversion is better in the Google universe right now than it is in the Facebook universe.
Yeah. Well, it was cheaper for a reason too.
Yeah. Well,
leads.
Right. So let me ask you this. Well, because we're getting towards that time. Me and you could probably talk for 5 hours on these things, but let's talk about this. We kind of both agree that you have $400. Say you have $400 to spend. Let's just say the Zillow advertising that you have been spending money on.
My dogs.
Oh, there you go. Nice. The $400 that you have, or $250, whatever it is you're spending monthly to get those Zillow leads.
Yeah.
How would you spend it right now? So let's just say, how would you spend that $250 if you have it? Now, again, please note, folks, we're just saying if you're using Zillow now, how would you do it, or whatever. Let's not just say Zillow. We don't want to point out, but any online universal advertising tool that says they're going to do it for you and not you for yourself. How would you spend that money today if it was you spending it?
Okay, so it depends on if I'm an agent and I don't know the first thing about video and I don't have a video camera or I don't have this and that and the other, then I would spend probably $150 or $100, whatever, as cheap as I could on production value. So you can get, I do it for my agents for free, but there are those starving filmmakers and things like that at the universities or whatever. Pay them $50. First, get your outline of your message, your elevator pitch, as I call it, right? Get that done. Get a visualization of what you want to do. This is all on video, by the way, because I would heavily invest in video. And then put a small production together of your message. 30 seconds. That's all it needs to be. 30 seconds to a minute is all you need, right? So nothing big, nothing major. And then spend the rest of the money, whatever you have left over, on marketing and market that. So spend a little bit on production And then as far as the marketing goes, I would put that on YouTube, and I would put that on the, the skip videos that you do, the introduction videos. That's where I would put it, because if you have a minute-long video, if they skip it for 5 seconds, you don't get charged, but you got free branding.
Yeah.
So if they watch more than 50% of the video, if you have a minute-long video and they watch more than 30 seconds, then you get charged. Okay. And it's cheap. Like, as you said, it's cheaper than what you're going to get on there, but you still got the branding. And if they watch less than 30 seconds of it, you don't get charged. So that's why you see a lot of those skip videos. If you let them play out, it's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you saying, dude?
Yeah, they're just trying to get in front of them.
Get the point. But they're doing that as a strategy because they know if I watch it more than 30 seconds or less than 30 seconds or 50%, they don't get charged. Yet they got their brand out there. And so that's what I would do. And that money would go a long way. I spent $400 on YouTube on those skip videos. And by the way, on that, you can put your video in front of popular video. I put mine in front of Joe Rogan. Right? So Joe Rogan, when he had his YouTube stuff going, I put my videos in front of Joe Rogan. They want to be home buyers, right? Yeah. So you can search on YouTube channels that have a lot of traffic on them, and it's like ditching in line. It's like the most beautiful thing ever, because I can put my stuff. Now I'm not going to put it in front of Mickey Mouse cartoons. That's not where my video is going to go, right? It's going to go in front of, guess what? The Z Word, right? They have a channel. Quicken Loans, for me, they have a channel. I can put all my stuff in front of my competitors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's always funny because you used to be able to do that with Facebook before they locked some of that stuff down. You'd be able to market to those audiences. Now they've kind of controlled that a little differently, which is kind of unique. So I agree. I will say I look at it a little differently. I still think it's always about your voice and what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So what I would be spending is 90% of that money on a virtual assistant and let them put that marketing material out there. So you still have to do the marketing material, but for like the video, a lot of times right now, a lot of associations are under real estate associations are starting to understand that a value add needs to have a free video platform that they can offer to their agents. So check with your association. They may actually have a green room that you could go create your own videos for with no cost at all.
Title companies do it too. I've seen title companies. Yeah, they'll offer green rooms. So but you have to be creative.
Yep.
You're only limited by your creativity. And so watch other people, watch what they do. You can see kind of my tripod right here.
Yeah.
I have a big camera here. I have a green screen right here. And I film my stuff right here a lot of times. I go out into my community, and what I do, we talk about community. I probably should have brought this up earlier, is I go out and I film 10 minutes of an attraction, a golf course, whatever. Right. And then I put that on my green screen, and then I name it in my green screen. People, Arizona, we take saguaro cactuses. We take those for granted, right? They're everywhere. But you in Chicago, like, wow, that's a pretty cool cactus, man. Right. But we're like, whatever. So we get kind of immune to it. But that stuff is kind of cool to the audience because they don't see it every day, right?
So are you saying you're using it just straight out there as video, like direct video, or are you using it more as B-roll?
No, I'm putting it on when I do my market updates. I do a weekly market update.
Oh, so it's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do mortgage market at a glance is kind of my pitch. And so I do that kind of video, and I put that on Roku or whatever. And then I have that as my green screen background. And then I put the name of it at the top, like I just went up to Cave Creek and I filmed, there's a Cave Creek museum, right? And they have the oldest working gold mine mechanical. I'm not a gold miner, so I don't know, but I love the show Gold Miner. This is like one of my favorite shows. Because you know why? Because it embodies the spirit of the Americans.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's I want to go be rich. I want to, it's the quintessential what America's built on. That's why I love that show. And so, but it has the oldest working gold retriever or whatever you call them. That's within 500 miles of its original place, which is pretty cool, right?
That is very cool.
So I put that in the background, and I'm going to do that on this week's mortgage market at a glance or whatever. So get in the community, go film. Like what would be the other one I'm going to do is, construction's kind of hard or whatever. Go take and get a camera, whatever. You can get these, I don't have it here in front of me, but those little holders for your phone, right?
Yeah.
That just hold your phone, put it on a tripod, hit record, let it just play. Stand back. I got a timer on my phone. I sit there and like, check my mail, whatever. Let it play for 10 minutes. That's your green screen material in the background. And now I have a bunch of software and stuff like that I can color correct and I can do other things with. You don't need to do that at the beginning. I didn't do it at the beginning, of course.
No, there's a lot like I do. Like I have Movavi. It's really cheap that you can use that stuff for. It's not going to give you the same quality that you're talking about, but it'll serve the purpose.
But that'll get you out in the community. And if you film, like, let's say DR Horton or whoever, Toll Brothers or whatever is building a neighborhood, go put a tripod and go film the workers hammering and sawing and doing their thing, and then do a video about new home construction.
Yeah, I was just thinking it'd be cool almost. You get a lunchtime crowd and go to the restaurant and say, hey, do you mind? I want to put this in the back of my video. Do you mind if we just videotape 10 minutes of what goes on around here?
I've done that with restaurant owners. They don't care.
Yeah, they typically won't. It's going to give them free advertising, right? You can put up in the little top corner, Jim Bob's Steakhouse, whatever it may be. It's going to be free advertising. And what I love about that from a community perspective, full circle, is you're building that community. Now they're going to say, who are you? What channel are you doing? Right? They want to know more about it. And you have now started building that network that people don't build right now. And I'm telling you, folks, we are finally, some states have gone further and faster than others, and let's not get into that stuff, but get out here now, start doing this stuff now. You're going to be loved because everyone's not doing this. Hardly anyone.
Let me do this too, Justin, because I hate it when shows don't give you the nuggets. They don't give you like these talking generalization, right?
Sure.
So, and here, I don't know if I can do this, if it'll show here. You can see my camera back there. Okay. You can see it up
camera.
There, right? Yeah. So that's my camera. Now in front of that slant there, that's a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Okay. I paid, I don't know. I think it was like 60 or maybe $60 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
The teleprompter. Okay. Not too expensive. And then I put that on my phone. Okay. Now my phone, I have an app that's called Elegant Teleprompter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I know it's kind of hard to see or whatever. And then I write down my scripts. Okay. It's asking me for the pro version. I didn't pay for the pro version. Okay. Simple. I put never, right? And so I'll open this up. It comes with an ad, right? So you gotta deal with the ads. But there's the teleprompter, and then I can hit play. Whoops, did I hit back? Sorry, guys. I know I'm trying to do this for you so I can show you. And then it just scrolls and does its thing. I'm trying to hold it still so you can see it scroll.
Oh, no, it looks good. I assume you control the speed to some degree and whatnot.
Yeah, I can control the speed, the font, everything. And I put this in there, right, in my teleprompter.
Yeah, and it just shows up.
And so you can take the time all you want and write your little script out, write your little elevator pitch. Boom, there you go.
So when you're looking at it, you're not looking down at your phone reading, you're looking straight at the camera.
I see that all the time with agents. Let me read the market conditions for you. And that's okay. You can kind of get away with that if you're good. But we're not all Howard Sterns, and we're not all, television, kind of personalities here, right? So again, engage. You were talking about that. Engage with the audience, have the one-on-one, look at the audience. The audience is that camera. It's not somewhere else. And so, but a teleprompter can help you kind of break the ice a little bit and knowing what to say, because you're going to type it out beforehand.
No, and see what I love about the teleprompter, because I used to do it and I don't do it much now. I typically just write it out because I found that works for me just as well. One of the key things, just so people understand, that the value of the teleprompter is what Jayson is saying. So you can read it. So if you're a script person, you can just do it and you look straight at the camera. No one knows that you're reading. Hopefully they don't know you're reading. They don't see your eyes darting back and forth.
Yeah, you got to stand far enough away from the camera, right? And then they can't see your eyes. Go back.
But what I like about the writing and what became a value for me is once I wrote it out, I knew what I was going to talk about. So even if I didn't read the prompter, I still knew the 6-7 bullet points that I needed to cover, and it was done.
100%, man. It keeps you focused, keeps you on track. And Justin, we didn't talk about this, but it makes you a better agent because you're doing the research ahead. It takes for me to do a 5-minute video. By the time I go film it, right, I edit it and do my script or whatever. I'm knee deep into it for at least an hour.
Right.
At least an hour for 5 minutes. So what's that doing? I'm reading what I already read anyways. Right. I'm reading articles and things like that I read so I can better inform my clients. I'm taking those articles, I'm putting it into a format that I can read on a teleprompter. So I'm kind of double dipping a little bit, right? I'm already reading it, so why not use that as a marketing tool, right?
And I love that, right? I mean, if you're gonna know about your community, you've got to research it, and if you're gonna research it, you might as well use that material, right? It's something.
Yeah.
These are nuggets that even though you think may be obvious, 90% of the time aren't obvious to everybody else, right? Just as Jayson said earlier, right? Oh, I've seen that cactus 5 times this week. No one wants to see that cactus. Well, I haven't.
Right. Exactly right.
So
I think these conversations too, right? You and I having these conversations, I get a lot of value out of these conversations because I hear from the agent's perspective, right? And I think how cool would it be? And I had this idea, and I did this with an agent for a long time. It's called 22 Minutes with Jayson and Stefan. We did it for a year. But for a consumer, from a consumer standpoint, to be able to talk to an agent and a broker or mortgage professional at the same time, I mean, that's a double whammy in my book. If I agree for a house, that's a double whammy. Like, especially from an agent's perspective, hey, do I have to pay you? Or, all the questions that, people have. And then what does it cost for you as a mortgage broker or whatever? Or can I do this? Can I do that? And so that's a home run, in my opinion. So team up with a good mortgage broker or something in your area that's willing to go on camera and be consistent with it, and then bring value to the table on the video. Yeah. That's why I stopped doing it in the other one, because I was doing all the work. Remember I said the hour to get the 5 minutes? Yeah. I was doing all the work up front, doing all the research, putting everything together. He would just show up like Tom Cruise and say, what are we talking about today? Like, no, I'm not doing that, man.
No, well, no. And I will tell you, and we can kind of end on this because I think it's a good thing to end on, or at least kind of end on. I do agree with you, Jayson, right? I think one of the best things we can do from a real estate professional is team up with people, right? So, you teamed up with a realtor in your area. It worked well for a year. And then it served its course and it moved on. That's the same for us as industry professionals. Find that team that you can work with. That's another part of the community build that you need to have. Your team doesn't have to be 10 realtors. It needs to be a mortgage person, a home inspector, attorneys, that group, whatever that is in your state that you use 90% of the time. Those are people out there. Make sure they can relate to you. Make sure they are understanding who you are and what you're listening to. I'll give you an example, just like what you said. We had an event one time at one of the brokerages I was at, and we had a group of mortgage people that came in because they basically sponsored it, and it was great. So we got to meet them. Well, one of the guys lived in my area, and he goes, I'd love to go to lunch with you. I said, that's great. I said, what I'm going to tell you right now is I don't need you to give me your packet of offerings.
Right.
That's not who I am. I'm going to rely on you and your knowledge. Me and you're going to have conversations. I just want to know who you are, how you communicate. I want to know who you are, because when I refer, I want to know what to expect and what my clients need to expect.
Right.
And he goes, that's cool. No problem. The first thing he handed to me when we got in lunch, he's like, I know you said not to do this, but I got to give you this packet. I was done. I went, one simple request, and you couldn't do it. I know you could disagree with me, but that one request, and you ignored me the first time, I knew that we weren't going to be able to work as colleagues together, because I need you to understand where my clients are. And if you can't do that, you're just trying to satisfy your voice, then it's not going to matter.
Yeah, that brings us right to what I said at the very beginning of this is when I meet an agent for the first time, I ask him, what can I do for your business? That's not hand you flyers or anything like that. Because again, that's what I do for a living. Like, come on, that's like handing you a house flyer as an agent. Like, what? Come on, you don't need that. I don't need that.
Here's my 5 listings. How do you like them?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so obvious, but people want to hand, oh, look at me, look what I can do. Nobody else can do this, but I can do.
Well,
what?
and
Everybody
trust me, there is a certain amount of bragging that we all want to do. And I totally have all due kudos and respect for that, but there's a time and place, right? And you have to know who you're talking with before you're going to start doing those brags. And that's the problem that I always laugh at with realtors. I call it the social brag. We realtors, we want to blast all this social bragging out on social media, which, trust me, is hugely necessary. You have to let them know not only that you are in business, but you are successfully in this business.
Right. You're full-time, you're part-time, you're not part-time. Right.
But you have to moderate that, because if all they see is the social brag, eventually it feels like marketing and it feels like an ask, and they're going to stop listening. And you're not building that community. So with that, anything else that we didn't hit on that you want to talk about? Because we're at the hour and 10. This is now going to be a 2-part podcast.
No. I think we hit a lot, man. I don't want to overwhelm people. There's a lot to this though. And it's this is, in my opinion, this is your business. Yeah. What we're talking about today, you're not a realtor. And I tell realtors sometimes this, and I tell mortgage officers, you're not a realtor. You're not a mortgage professional. You are a marketer. And then the byproduct of your marketing is that you sell real estate or you close loans. That's it. So learn the marketing side of things, get involved with that. Don't be bashful, get out there and do it.
Now, I'm going to say this for the audience that knows me in here. Jason and me say basically the same thing, but we almost always use different terminologies.
East Coast, West Coast.
Right. Exactly right. So what he is calling marketing, folks, when you're listening to me from that perspective, I'm calling it your networking. It's your build, your relationship builds. We're talking the same thing. It's just a difference of terminologies. That's all it is. It all comes to the same prospect. And that's what we're in, right? We're in the marketing / business building, networking, relationship building, however you want to deem that. Marketing and all these steps are just one format of the same end goal, building that group that knows you, likes you, trusts you, that wants to use you and refer you to everybody that they know. So with that, here's the thing, Jason, as always, what I give everybody is you're the last person to speak. So here's the thing I'm going to give you is this is your time to do that social brag. So tell the audience what you need them to know, where to find you, how to use you, and go.
I am Jayson Bates, owner of Electron Financial, a mortgage broker located right here in beautiful Cave Creek, Arizona, where a mortgage is not a flip of the coin. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance a home in the state of Arizona, I want to be your broker of choice. And if you don't believe me about the rates or the low costs, call me. You can find me on Roku. I'm on Facebook, but not too often. But Roku TV, I think Justin's been playing that at the bottom of here. So if you're watching it, take a look. If you're listening to us, take a look at the video and check that out. I'm on Twitter too, but really don't use that too often, to be honest with you. Check out my YouTube channel, The Jay Bates, the TheJayBates, and you can certainly reach out to me on YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. And we'll probably do this again because I know me and you have plenty of topics to talk about. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, bud.